So business risk is the topic, and I'm Agnelorajesh, chairman for St. Angelo's VNCT Ventures. We are one of the largest villa developers in India. I'm a serial and a social entrepreneur with business interests in a wide range of businesses across the globe. Uh, Today's topic is something which is interesting to everyone. Like you see a lot of members of Business Opportunities Club on the screen. Maintaining commitments is one way which keeps you away from risk in business, because that's a part of your nature. So you will see a couple of members of Business Opportunities Club who are not in Mumbai. They are in Alibag. Yogesh and his wife Tanuja, they are in Alibag, but they are live on the show. Nitin Munot is traveling in Belgaum for business, but he's also live on the show. So let me begin with what is business risk. Friends, business risk refers to a threat to the company's ability to achieve its financial goals. In business, risk means that a company or an organization's plans may not turn out as originally planned, or that it may not meet its target or achieve goals. Such risk cannot always be blamed on the owner of the company, as risk can be influenced by various external factors, which may include rising prices of raw material for production, growing competition, or changes or additions to existing government regulations, or an unexpected event like the current times, which was never planned for by anybody. So let me discuss the types of risk in business. So risk comes in different forms. Let me share some types of business risk. One is strategic risk. Strategic risk can occur at any time. For example, a company manufacturing an anti-mosquito lotion may suddenly see a decline in its sale because people's preferences have changed and they now want to spray mosquito repellent rather than a lotion. The type of risk number two, compliance risk. Compliance risk involves companies having to comply with new rules that are set by the government or by a regulatory body. So it was a plastic ban, which definitely shook up a lot of businesses who never saw it coming. The third type of risk I would like to discuss is financial risk. Financial risk is about the financial health of the company. Now, can the company afford to offer installment payments to its customers? This is the question that you need to keep asking yourself. How many customers can it offer such an installment scheme? Can it handle business operations when 2 or 3 of these customers are not able to make their payments on time? Financial planning is very critical and very important to understand and be in control of to keep your business safe and sound. The fourth point I would like to discuss is operational risk. Operational risk occurs within the business's system or processes. Now, how do we identify a business risk? Friends, risks are inherent to every environment and absolutely every business. They cannot be avoided, and therefore they must be addressed head on to minimize their impact. The first step in risk management is to identify the risk in order to come up with a risk management strategy. Point number one, analyze the sources that may trigger problems. Point number two, act now. It should be instant. Point number three, involve your teams, involve your employees, involve your stakeholders all the time. Point number four, make a list of industry specific risks so that you already have a plan in place if you match the risk that you're already envisaged. Point number five, create a record of risk so that you don't have to repeat what action needs to be taken when the same risk resurfaces. So let me now discuss how to manage business risk. So business risk may be inevitable, but there are several ways to minimize the impact. Like, for example, point number one, avoid the risk. It may sound ironic to suggest avoiding the risk when we say that it is inevitable. But what is meant here is that companies should avoid specific risks when possible. Managers should think of alternatives in order to not have to face the risk. Point number two, prevent the risk. If there is a deemed risk, then they should act to prevent it from happening. For example, in delivery business, by halting deliveries during severe weather, one can prevent the risk of damages to the shipment and delivery assets, and then you can again deliver after it becomes normalized. How to manage business risk is critically important, and my last point would be contain the risk. Sometimes there are risks that cannot be avoided or prevented. Companies can choose to contain said risk while putting up safety nets. For example, since all businesses need to access the internet where hackers are in plenty, they might put stronger firewalls and have other protective measures in place to ensure their company's safety. That's how you can contain your risk. So what are the key takeaways for business risk and managing it? Friends, business risk is any exposure a company or organization has to factor that may lower its profits or cause it to go bankrupt. So we need to be cautious and precautious. The sources of business risk are varied but can range from changes in consumer taste and demand, the state of the overall economy, and the government rules and regulations. We need to be always aware about these points. While companies may not be able to completely avoid business risk, they can take steps to mitigate its impact, including the development of a strategic risk plan of what you do when you are struck by a challenge. So, friends, that's my take on the topic for the day, that is managing business risk.